Y'all, what's up? It's your boy Dawson. Thank you for clicking on the video. Thank you for the support. I appreciate everything. Remember, guys, this is my show. I'm going to speak my mind, say what I want to say. And that's just the way it's going to be, like I'm finna do right now. Something has been troubling me this week as I sat here and I watched videos of Pastor Paula White, or Paula White, whatever she's going by now, and her husband Jonathan on Jim Bakker's show. And mind you, Baker and Paula White, they're on their second marriages. So let's make that make sense when it comes to the Bible. I'll wait. They sat on that show and they went through the whole motions of President Trump is this and President Trump is that. And Paula White even went on to say that President Trump is like a king and he has been raised by God. And then I have followed Paula White's ministry since she was with, I think Randy White was her first husband. Y'all remember Randy White and her with Without Walls and how she connected with Bishop Jakes because Bishop Jakes, you know, he was a thriving pastor and everything like that. In some kind of way, Paula White connected with him. And Paula White started going into the inner cities in Tampa. Predominantly, you know, black people started coming to her church, you know, and after her divorce with Randy and the situation that happened in Orlando with the death of Zachary Timms, which, you know, is a very tragic thing. Zach Timms and Reva, they did a lot in the Central Florida area, the Orlando area. And I remember that because I grew up there near those areas. So I knew, you know, everything that happened with that, all that situation. But Reva and Zach, they were doing great things in Orlando. And when he died, how the church, the board, made Paula White the presiding pastor and the whole controversy that went on with that. And then again, I stayed quiet. I didn't do no videos. I didn't say nothing, but I knew what it was. I knew what it was. Paula White had connected with Bishop Jakes. Paula White was marketable. She was around, you know, on TVN and preaching everywhere. And everybody just loved this little white woman who's a beautiful woman. She's beautiful. I can't take that away from her. Everybody loved her, you know, got a fire, started preaching like she was, you know, almost like that. People would say that Southern, like black style and all this kind of stuff. And she had the black people going because, you know, black people love the white people who can relate on their level like that, who can just get down and be, oh, you white, but you really a sister. You know, they did stuff like that in the church when white people came and the white boy could preach or the white girl can preach. And it made black people, some of them, not all, I know we're not a monolith. It made them feel good because it almost feels like you can relate to what we're going through. You are white, but you still got soul. You still got it. But that ceases at a point when you find out that the person who came in the inner city, who picked up little children, who preached like she was Juanita Bynum, and at times they were always saying her and Juanita Bynum was number one, number two, number three. Both of them still the same. It's all about the money. It comes to a point when you have to look at stuff and say, it was all a fraud. Paula White used black people and to get it with Bishop Jakes, used him, even though they probably won't admit it, but I'm going to say it. I ain't never got to go back to none of their damn churches. I really don't care because I see stuff for what it is now. I'm not one of them people like I was before. Oh, I got to get to this conference. I got to go to their church. It's a move of God here. It's a move of God wherever you are when you have a connection with God. You don't have to keep running to these people churches. You don't have to keep running. I keep telling y'all this. And that's why some of y'all are dying and going through depression, and some of y'all are sick, and some of y'all are going through, it seems like you about to lose your mind because you think you're blessing and you think that God cannot meet you where you are, that you have to run to all these people. And you don't. You don't have to run to their churches. You don't even have to look at their stuff on television when they're telling you that the Lord told them that a president who picks on Mexicans, who says derogatory comments against women, who makes all kind of idiotic comments against all people and acts like a child who is not really like a grown man, and tell you that he's king. And you believe him because she puts the Lord said, and they quote things out of the Bible and they say this out of the Bible in order to get y'all going, because you know, long as you put Jesus on the end and the Messiah and oh, God gonna do it and you can't fight with God, that stuff get black people going. But can I be honest, like I was on the other video? And I love God. I have a relationship with God myself, but I'm talking about the God who they giving us. Tell me this, if that fire If that whole zeal that we have, that Holy Spirit that y'all have, that y'all shout around and run around the church and you dance and you speak in tongues and the pastor touch you and you fall all out, why aren't our neighborhoods better? Why can't that Holy Ghost that you got get in your communities and begin to rectify through you, because we are the arms, the hands, the feet of God? What are we doing, salt of the earth, in order to make the earth better? I told y'all before, we waiting for Jesus to come back, and Jesus is probably waiting for you to come up in your mind and get the real mind of Christ, that you will begin to affect the atmosphere. That you won't have to call Paula White or T.D. Jakes or Benny Hinn for nothing. Let them stay where they at. Because the power of God is not relegated to a person. I keep telling y'all that. And you done spent all your money here giving this lady stuff, giving this man stuff, buying them jets, sending them to Dubai, sending them and their family all over here because you're doing this for the pastor and the first lady and all this kind of stuff. But you don't even take a vacation yourself because somebody lied to you and told you that was serving the Lord. Your everyday life should be a service to the Lord. Now, let me get back on track. I moved off a little bit. Paula White used, I know where I'm going with this. Paula White used and is using her connection with Bishop Jakes. Oh, he my spiritual father. Yeah, that's what you say. Paula White also used the situation with the death of Zachary Timms to get that building, to get those members, because she was a big name. I remember when that was going on. It wasn't supposed to go to her. They had other people. Shane Perry was one of the ones who they were talking about getting it. And Shane Perry, you know, he came out, he preached there for a while after Zach Tim's death. And then Rico Sharp, who's another preacher, he came there. And as a matter of fact, I thought Rico was going to get it because Rico Sharp and Pastor Rico Sharp and Zach Tim were really good friends. And Rico, you know, she wasn't even in the running for it. And then they hit them all of a sudden. I think it was on Watch Night. I think it was a while ago. I remember all that. And I didn't say anything then. But as I started to watch her go on these programs, and I'm like, it seems like she's disconnected from her congregation. Because it's one thing to want to be, and I have nothing, like I say, she's a beautiful lady. It's one thing to want to be marketable. It's one thing to want to be out there and to be with the secular people and with the celebrities and all that kind of stuff. But Paula White, it's also another thing to really have the heartbeat of humanity and the heartbeat that Jesus had for the people. You could talk about it all day long, but it's in your actions. And when you got on the Jim Bakker show and you said what you said about him being a king, after we have seen in the media the rhetoric that this spews out from this man's mouth, the hate, the pain, how he hates Mexicans. What do you have to say about that, Paula White, to some of the Mexicans, if any of the Mexicans go to your church? What do you as a woman have to say when you have a president who say, I just grab him by the pussy, and who stood there and say, oh, it's just locker room talk. Oh, it's just this. Paula White, I don't hate you. I don't hate the president. But what I am against is when people went, well, and you know, I can't really, why I'm against y'all using black people and using Bishop Jakes and using Bishop Duncan. Yeah, that's what you're doing, to get black people to see your view. But when we are the ones, the minorities and the women, and you know, women are minority, you know, too, you know what I'm saying. But using that to get us to see the president in a good light. I don't care what scripture you give us, Paula, it's not working. And I know Roland Martin said some stuff, and I'm going to leave his video at the description box at the end. And I'm going to leave her video, what she was talking about. But now I see it for myself, for me. Now, y'all don't have to see it like me. This is my YouTube show. I'm going to say my opinion. To me, in my own opinion, Paula White, you used black people and Bishop Jakes and the whole Women Thou Art Loose platform, like many other people do, Juanita, to be popular. It wasn't about the people. It was all about you. It wasn't even about God. I can see through all of that right now. And I know you had friendship with Donald Trump years ago. I know that. I knew when he came on your show. I followed all that when I was into it, because we thought, hey, the rapture finna take place, and Paula White said it, and TD Jake said it, and all this kind of stuff. But we still right here, and God is asking us the same thing as we ask God to change the world. You are the salt of the earth. Not them on television, not Jim Baker, not Paula White, not his children, not their children, not the people at the Potter's house. What are you going to do with your life? Now, some people say, well, Dawson, you can't say nothing because sometimes you're saying, let me tell y'all something. Look here, y'all follow them people. I don't have to go to them when I need a healing. I don't have to go to them when I need God to work something out in my life. The same God, as I told y'all before, that's in Dallas, Texas, is the same God that's in the Bronx. That's the same God that's in Seattle. That's the same God that's in Chicago, in Dubai, in Russia, in Singapore. You don't have to run to everybody's church and every personality, Christian personality that's on television in order to get a healing or anything from God. And just because they said something and said God said it, they could be wrong. How do I know they could be wrong? They were wrong when they married the first people they married. Why y'all on y'all second and third marriage? Huh? You want to talk about that? Where is it biblical that you, Paula White, could stand up in front of your church along with Randy White and tell them, oh, we're getting a divorce, it's nothing wrong? Oh, yeah, come on now. We do what we want to do in the church, and we make the Bible work for us to go in what we want to work, make it work for. We know better than that. Come on, y'all. It's just that now some people we're woke. We become conscious. We understand what's going on now. You don't have to, all that rhetoric they used to give us before, that don't faze me no more. I don't think if I don't make it to the Woman Hour Loose or to the Manpower Conference that I've missed it. If I miss God, I've missed it. I ain't worried about a conference because the earth is the Lord's. Not Without Walls, not New Destiny, not the Potter's House, not Lakewood. Y'all wake up. Stop that. Please stop that. Because some of y'all seem so stupid to y'all family and to people when y'all talk to them. Because people looking at y'all like, oh my God, how could you follow this lady after what she said? And she has a predominant black church. That was Zachary. Well, it's God's church. I know that. But Zachary Tim was the overseer. And those 3 people on the board, it was only 3 people on the board. I think it was 3 or 5. Put her there because she was popular. The church was paid off. Zach and Reva paid that church off. Everything on that church was done. All she had to do was just come in there and be pastor, get lights, cameras, action, she on. It wasn't a big challenge like it was down in Tampa with Without Walls when Randy gave you that church, but you left that church, I think, and just saw the opportunity at New Destiny and just took over New Destiny. But let me tell y'all something. I don't believe. Now, y'all may not believe me on this. People say, well, God gonna deliver and God gonna take away. I believe sometimes God will let you stay in that situation until you, 40 years, the children in the wilderness, stay in those situations until you get smart enough to walk out of them. To stay in those situations where people are telling you something and it never works out for your good. You still in the same spot you was at the first Woman Hour Loose conference in the 90s. And you still going through the same motions. And you have not had a real relationship or a real touch by God. And if it was a touch, it probably was a touch because everybody was in the building and you felt the Spirit. But everybody don't have to be in the building. You can feel the Spirit by yourself. Juanita Bynum don't have to touch you in order to feel the Spirit, nor does Benny Hinn, nor does anybody, nor does Mark Sharona. I'm calling them out because some of y'all got to get the people out of your mind and put God in your mind so that God can begin to regulate your life, not them. We have given people so much power and we wonder why the world is the way it is. Could it be because you have made them your God? And forgotten about the real God, the one who not charging you every time after service, telling you to dig in your pocket for this, dig in your pocket for that. The God who come to see you in your darkest hours. You're not concerned about that one. You worried about, oh, as long as I get the faith world, long as I get up here, long as I get to, Mount Covenant, and long as I get here, long as you get with God, you're going to be all right. Y'all, let's wake up. In conclusion, I just want to say, Paula White, I think that the interview you did with Jim Baker, a lot of the things you said, was real silly. But I just want you to know from myself that I see through all of that now. Before I was blind, but now I see that to be a pastor or somebody in leadership or a televangelist, it's all about popularity, persuasion, and profit. It's not about the people. Till next time, it's your guy Dawson. Take care of yourself and each other.